the actual day-to-day is the celebration, not the milestone. It's the marriage, not the wedding. If you want to go chase down your dreams, whatever they are, even just become financially free, and you have a partner who doesn't believe it, I don't know that relationship works. People focus on the wedding day. Like, who cares what the wedding is? One of the biggest fight my wife and I ever got into was about our wedding day, because she wanted to make it this big deal, and I was like, it doesn't matter. And you can't tell it doesn't matter.
No, let's get into this. I wasn't even gonna go here, but I'm so glad you said this.
Okay, great.
Because I came to Donnell one day and I said, I never wanna have a wedding. I never wanna get married if that's what it is. It's so stressful. He didn't care, but in my mind, I was programmed to want one, and I felt bad for not wanting one. Then I had to let all these other people down. But I would love to know what that conversation looked like, because we have a lot of people who are making this financial decision, right? It's not necessarily about the stress. It's not about all of the to-dos for one day, the waste, right? All of these other things. It's about if we spend money here on one day, because it's not about the wedding, it is about the marriage, and it is about the two of you. So I would love to hear. Have you shared this before?
No, I don't think so. I might not be as articulate as I could be, but I think you have to understand why you're doing things. Like, not just a wedding or a marriage or anything. Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you having kids? Why are you starting the business? Why are you in this job? Why are you doing a podcast? Like, what's the why behind the thing? And the more you can get clear on the why behind the thing, you're talking about creating multi-generational wealth of people. Like, if you understand the why and you align with the why, it's a lot easier to make good decisions. Where most of the time people don't even think about the why deeply. And then when you get down to it, it's like, well, why do we want to do a wedding? Well, you've been culturally conditioned to do it, or you want to show off in front of your friends, or if it's really just a celebration of your love, okay, well, you need to spend however many thousands of dollars to do that. And the fact that, like, people are coming who you don't even know, who you may not even like, who don't even care about your relationship, and you're asking them to pay money, even if you don't lose money on the wedding. Well, we make money on the wedding, okay, but like, you're asking people then to pay to come who don't even really know you, and it's parents fighting over how many people. I'm half Italian, so Italian weddings can be giant. And it's like, what do you mean we can only have 400 people at this thing? You know, I don't know any of these people, right? So what I wanted to do was a destination wedding.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's go away. And whoever wants to come, they can come. Like, it's great. Like, if they know us and they love us enough to come, awesome, come. And if they don't know us enough or don't want to come, cool, they don't. That's awesome. Like, great.
We'll post a picture.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's great. I don't know you anyway, so let's not pretend. I don't like fake, and I don't like pretend. And I don't like having to do something because of somebody else's expectations of me to have to do it.
Yes.
Right? So, and I'm really weird this way. So again, it's maybe not prescriptive for most people. Mm-hmm. We're entering weird duck land, right? So, like Valentine's, I don't like giving my wife flowers on Valentine's.
We don't do it either.
Because it's an expectation, right?
Right.
But like last week I bought my wife flowers. Why? Just because. So like, just because flowers is a thing that I do.
Yeah.
But Valentine's flowers, I'm not a fan of. It's like when it feels like it's forced, I fight the feeling like it. Maybe it's the entrepreneur in me, whatever. I don't like being boxed in or having to be told what to do. I'll fight it. But what's the point of a Valentine's gift? Well, think about the person you love. Okay, cool. Why does it have to be Valentine's Day? To your point earlier today, or in this session about New Year's resolution, why does it only have to be New Year's resolutions? Like, today is a new year. Go. Right? Like, if you're watching this on September 13th, awesome. Today is a new year. Why do you have to wait until December 31st before you start on your thing? And again, it's maybe not prescriptive, but it's how my weird brain works. And so, like, why are people coming to this wedding? What are we trying to set up and accomplish? And she said, well, you know, for my wife, people may not be able to afford it. It's okay, like, listen, if your parents can't afford it or whoever, we'll pay for them. Again, we're in a position to be able to do that. That's not for everybody. I get it. But anybody who's super close, if the reason they can't come is because of money, okay, we can solve that problem and we'll pay for them to come. But it's like, it's not, why would most people not come to your wedding if it's in Cuba or whatever? Because they don't like you enough, right? I mean, it's really what it is.
RSVP,
Like,
don't like you enough.
It's like, who is this person, right? It's like friends of your aunt or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even, sure, there's a financial commitment to come. It doesn't have to be some crazy expensive place, but it's like to spend one day somewhere, fine, but to go for a week, they don't know you enough,
Yeah.
right? And that's fine, and that is normal. And so I'd rather be with a smaller group of people who are there because they love you and they know you, and not have to fake for 400 people or whatever. So the reason why that was our biggest fight in over a decade with my wife was because of just the difference of values there. Like, I don't value other people's opinions. If your aunt thinks that we are stupid for doing this, I don't talk to your aunt. Yeah. Why am I going to change my life off of your aunt? Like, it doesn't matter to me. This means zero to me.
And she doesn't make decisions inside of our marriage.
Yeah, like, why would I change my life based off of what your aunt thinks, right? And I'm not targeting a specific aunt. But for her, like, it matters a lot. And so there is I guess as you discover in relationships, and I found it the hard way through, figuring out the wedding, that my wife does care about what her family thinks of her, and that's okay. And I don't have to force her to think like me. Yeah. So I would never, if it was my aunt who said, you have to do this, like, not happening, right? Like, zero chance that this is ever happening because my aunt told me to do this, right? But she cares a lot more. Back to her purpose is nuclear family, right? And making sure she's serving them. So even though I don't agree with that value, I can respect that that's her value. And we still have to figure out a way to come together and make this wedding thing happen. But I can respect that she has different values. And it's not that mine are right and hers are wrong. It's just different. And if we're gonna work together, we have to understand these differences. Luckily, the things that we disagree on in our marriage are never big things. The big things apart from this, which I don't even think of as a big thing, because it's only a one-off event, as opposed to, like, if this was happening every week, then that would be a much bigger deal. So I want a destination with just people who actually cared about us, and she wanted banquet hall, traditional
Disney princess.
No, not even about her. Like, it wasn't about her. It's not so much about, like, how I'm gonna look in my dress, and it's.
But the big wedding, right? All the people. Yeah.
For, like, it wanted every 18th cousin.
Yeah.
And again, I'm exaggerating. It's not that bad, but like.
Wheel in the cake because there's so many people to feed.
Yeah. But like, for her, it's not about the show. It's about having everybody be able to be there. Okay. Even, like, very distant connections. What we settled on, though, was to do something at my parents' backyard. So my parents have a sizable backyard, and we asked our neighbors if we could use their backyard too. And so they kind of combined it and got a tent out. And so it was not nearly as big as, like, a banquet hall would be, but it worked. And it was still kind of, I don't know what the word is, connected and small enough and familiar enough that nobody was really fully happy, but we found our way. We found our way to make it happen. And so, my wife is amazing as a glue for both of our families. Like, my wife will do more for her family than I will do for my family. And it sounds like bad to say that, and I love my family, right? But, like, she loves her family and does things more than I do for my family. And that's how she was raised, and that's her value system. And I need to understand that she will do things for her family that I would never do for mine. And again, it doesn't make me wrong or her right or whatever. It's just, I need to accept that. And some of the things that I may not do, my aloofness I sound like I'm a terrible son or whatever, but my aloofness in comparison to her is not right or wrong either. And so like those are some of the things, I guess, the edges that have to come together. But for the most part, on the big things, we agree. And so money is one of the things that people freak out over.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
Who's spending what and how much and whatever. It's like it's one of the biggest things that people fight over.
Including, this is important to this person, no different than you were saying. She has these values, and I respect that we're different in that way, but I respect that regardless of my opinion about that topic, they're her values. And that translates over financially for a lot of people too. So it becomes like this zone that is untouchable. As long as something lands in this zone, it's like, don't touch it, even if it means, and I'm not saying you in this situation, because obviously financially it's a different story, but for other people, the way that they might navigate through this could end up meaning that they are steering the ship in a different direction because this value is pulling them in a different direction, not realizing that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. They're waiting to find out where they will end up versus we know exactly where we're going, and therefore all of our decisions and our habits and agreements lead us to that outcome, right?
Yeah, so now in dealing with like relationship stuff, we're out way in deep waters outside my area of expertise.
But financially.
But I could just share my experience, right? I think you got to get on the same page, right? You may not have the 100% similar values, and luckily Nina and I are pretty close. Like we should spend more money. Like we're both frugal not to a fault, but I should spend more money in my business and probably in life and other things. The kids will have a few areas that we'll splurge on and stuff, but we're probably from both of where we came from. Me, I still have the $300 a month kind of mentality that I'm French fry, breaking, and I've broken down a bunch of it, but it's still there. Like I am very risk averse, and it hurts, and it's like, oh, it's great, but it limits what I can do. I look at someone like Walt Disney, who twice bet everything to build first Snow White, the first feature-length cartoon, and then Disney World, Disneyland, Disney World. He just went bankrupt basically I can't imagine myself ever doing that. And there's a point where, to me at least, it gets a little too much. I don't want to risk my family's financial future on something crazy, but telling myself that means I'm going to play small too. I could stretch more than what I'm doing right now. But luckily Nina is the same way. She's looking at I can't spend anything without her knowing. I'm not in charge of our finances or anything. But I think for big things like that, you have to get on the same page. So you may not have the same values, but if you're too far apart, it's gonna cause issues. So I think money, and then how you raise the kids, if you have kids, or even the choice to just have kids or not, some of those are pretty big choices that you need to get. If you can't have an understanding and work with that, then you're in the wrong relationship. The way I see it happen a lot with entrepreneurs is an entrepreneur wants to start a business and the spouse doesn't necessarily support them. It's hard enough to start a business on your own.
Right.
If your spouse doesn't support you and you can't come up with a workable plan, I don't know that relationship works. How are you with somebody who doesn't support your dreams? Or believe in you and your dreams and what's possible. It doesn't mean you mortgage the house 14 times to start another business. You can be smarter about how to do it. But if you want to go chase down your dreams, whatever they are, even just become financially free, and you have a partner who doesn't believe it, I don't know how to effectively overcome that. I think that's what drives a lot of couples and marriages apart.
It's the number one cause of divorce.
I believe it.
Yeah. 4 years ago, I started losing my vision, and doctors saying, you're going to be in a wheelchair, you're going to be bedridden, this is just going to be your life. And I did not believe that was true.
Until I've exhausted every single idea that I can come up with, but I just will default to believing that it's possible.